Hello, this is Michelle from lettersandloops.com and also the Instagram at lettersandloops. Today we're going to go over blending. That was something someone suggested when I asked for tutorial suggestions. I'm going to show you the way I prefer to do this, another pretty good way to do this, and the third way is going to be a way that I do not suggest because it will destroy your pens. So first we're going to start off with a yellow and orange combination. You always want to put the lighter color on the paper and then do the second color will be the darker color. So for this I'll just write hey. Okay, and then we are going to blend that with the color orange. So the way I prefer to do it is to use a surface. It can be ceramic, it can be a plastic bag, it can be, Tombow has a blending palette, just anything that will let the color stay on the surface like that. Next, you take either a damp paintbrush, which is the way I prefer to do it. I just feel like I have more control with paintbrush, or a water brush, like the Pentel Aqua brush, Aquash, something like that. And then you dip it in the color you drew out and add it to top. Most people you'll see do the blending one way, either darkest color on top all the way down, or darkest color on bottom working up. So after you get it probably about a third of the color there, you want to rinse off your brush or dab off the color on the aqua brush and kind of work this down. I suggest doing this on mixed media paper. Some people suggest watercolor paper, but that's also not very good for the tips of your pens. This one needs a little bit more color, so you can always go back and add more. So if anything, be lighter in the beginning, add more later on. Close this off, and work it down a little more. And then you always want to do just one letter at a time, so that way the color doesn't dry too much. Otherwise you'll have a much harder time trying to get a good blend. So actually I'm gonna work this one down just slightly more. That's better. Okay. If you want to see an example of that, the aqua brush, I'll do that. So my favorite way to blend letters is to have the gradient alternating. So I will take the darker and put it on the top, and then the next letter I will put it on the bottom. And kind of just clean that off. Use a little bit of water. Work that up. Get a little more orange there. I just prefer regular paintbrushes because I feel like I have more control over how much water I'm using, which can make a difference. You want to make sure that you run it all the way down so you don't end up with lines over here like I did. Okay. And then we will do the last letter. I'll go back to my paintbrush. So this method should work with any kind of water-based marker. depending on the quality of the marker, might not work as well. Like Crayola markers this should work with, but you won't get as nice of blends. So for the second method, I will do orange and pink. I'll keep this one a little shorter and just write high. These colors actually might not be different enough to do this with. So you can tell this marker is one of my older ones. It's frayed, but it will work for this. So with this method, you write on top. Okay. That color combination is not going to be good, so I should have thought that through better, and we are going to do pink and purple instead. This marker's a little frayed as well. This method, you just take the darker color and write right on top. So with this method, you'll definitely want to only work on one color at a time. Then you can take either the paintbrush or the aqua brush, and you add some water. Oops. And be careful you don't do that. Same thing on this part. Add a little more water there. It's not blending very well. This method, I feel like, is not as smooth of blends all the time. If you wait just a little bit too long, it'll be harder to really move that color down. Okay, second one. You also don't want to make a hard line straight across with the marker there, because it'll be a little harder to blend that out. It's out of the way. Okay, so that's the second method. Also pretty good. I feel like the results aren't always as good. And then for the third method, I'm using very old markers for this. I used to do this one a lot. It's not the best. So you're going to start with the lighter color, just like the other ones. This time we will write I. Then you're going to take darker color, put it on top. And then you're going to take the lighter color, use that to pull it down. And then once you get part way down, we will use the colorless blender, which I believe Tombow isn't the only brand to have this. And you can still get decent results with this, but it does really tear up the tips of your pens, and it also has a tendency, if you blend too much, to tear up your paper and give it a very grainy texture. Which I will go ahead and do this top part. So yes, if you want to save your pens, and these are expensive, so I would suggest doing that, don't use this method. Another thing that's important to save your brush tips is to buy paper that is designed for markers. I like using marker paper, and then I also use the Canson mixed media paper a lot. It has a smoother texture than watercolor, but it can still hold some water. Not a lot, but some without warping. Now what I meant earlier, said don't make a straight line when you're drawing on these letters, is don't do this. Because having that straight line there is just a little bit harder to blend out sometimes. It's like you can still see there's a line there, even though I brought it down, and that's just what you're trying to avoid. You want it to be as smooth as possible. So to review, my favorite way, and I think the best way, is to add color onto a surface. This is just a metal watercolor tin. Plastic bag works. Anything ceramic. I have a coaster I used to use a lot. I've seen a lot of people use little jewelry dishes that has like that glazed ceramic surface that will repel water, and you'll be able to pick up color and transfer it onto the paper. Blending that way is my favorite. You don't have to do the alternating like I like to do. You can just do dark to bottom all the way across, or light to dark all the way across, or a mix. And that is it. I hope that was helpful. If you have any other suggestions for future tutorials, please send me a message on Letters and Loops, my Instagram, or send me an email, lettersandloops@gmail.com. Thank you.